reading goodnight stories with Bored Grandma. Hello, grandchildren. Grandma here. Are you ready for bed and have your teeth all brushed? If so, here we go. Spotty finds a playmate. One fine morning in the middle of the jungle, Spotty, the baby leopard, went out to find other animals to play with. Mother leopard had gone off to get some food for her family, so Spotty was all alone for the morning. He felt a little lonely. He peered through a clump of tall grass and saw a pretty pond. In the middle of the pond, sitting on some rocks, was old Mr. Turtle. Mr. Turtle never liked being disturbed while he was sunning himself. "Will you play with me?" asked Spotty. "No, indeed, I will not," replied Mr. Turtle. "You play too roughly for me, Spotty." Then he disappeared among the colored rocks in the pond. Spotty jumped into the pond to find Mr. Turtle. He put his head under the water and looked, but he couldn't find anything except 2 green minnows who swam away. When Spotty couldn't hold his breath any longer, he jumped out of the pond onto the overhanging branch. "No one wants to play with me," he said, and felt very sorry for himself. He put his head between his paws and began to cry. Just then, Spotty heard a sound. Croak, croak, croak. "Who can be making such funny noises?" Spotty said to himself. Jumping to the ground, he ran off in the direction of the sounds. It certainly didn't sound like a bird. "Whatever it is, perhaps he'll play with me," thought Spotty. Then he saw who was making the noises. Perched on a long brush stem was fat Mr. Frog, all puffed up and singing his favorite songs. "Croak, croak." "Will you play with me, Mr. Frog?" said Spotty. "Certainly not, Spotty," replied Mr. Frog. "You play too roughly for me." Then Mr. Frog jumped right into the middle of a big mud puddle. Splash! Spotty laughed and laughed at the funny sight. "If Mr. Frog wants to play hide and seek, I'll find him soon enough," he said. Spotty jumped into the mud puddle, but Mr. Frog had disappeared. Spotty looked so strange, all covered with mud, and the birds came to laugh at him. Suddenly, Spotty heard a hiss. "I will play with you, Spotty," said Mr. Snake, who was coiled in a tree right over Spotty's head. "You don't play too roughly for me." Mr. Snake grinned hungrily and edged near the little leopard. Spotty had never been so frightened in his whole life. He could feel his fur stand up on end and all over his body, and his tail stuck straight up in the air. Something had to be done. Spotty shut his eyes and roared as loudly as he could. He roared and he roared and he roared, only stopped when he was out of breath. Mr. Snake was so scared that he wriggled away as fast as he could, telling himself that he would never go near another leopard, even a baby leopard. When he opened his eyes and saw that Mr. Snake had gone, Spotty was very proud of his roaring. Sitting down, he began to lick all the mud from his paws. When he was clean, he looked up. He saw a family of monkeys sitting on a tree branch staring at him. "Will you play with me?" Spotty shouted. "Of course we will," the monkeys shouted back. "Try to catch us." Spotty gave a happy yelp and scampered off after his newfound friends. The monkey swung from branch to branch, always laughing and always keeping just a little bit ahead of Spotty. "This is certainly more fun than playing with old Mr. Turtle and fat Mr. Frog," Spotty thought to himself, "and certainly a lot safer than playing with Mr. Snake." Finally, Spotty grew tired with all the running and playing. "Goodbye, goodbye," called Spotty to his friends. "Goodbye, goodbye, Spotty," the monkeys called back. "We'll meet again tomorrow." Spotty lay down in a shady spot under a big tree. The flowers smelled sweet, and the 2 butterflies fluttered near him. My," said Spotty, stretching. "What fun it is to have playmates." This book had once belonged to 3 little children, a big brother, a middle sister, and a little sister who were all grown up, and a couple are grandparents who can read this book to their very own grandchildren. I hope you like this book. Now off to dreamland you go.